Hello. Pull. Oh. Ooh. Yeah.
So, hello guys, good morning. This is lesson 4 from the Group 4, of course. The nature of communication and business communication. So, communication. Communication is the shared exchange of understanding, starting off with the receiver. It inspires being helpful in business and is the core function of management. Effectively, communication involves planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. Feedback is also an important part of business communication. So, what is business communication for you guys? So, business communication is the process of sharing information between people within the workplace and outside a company. Effective business communication is how employees and management interact to reach organizational goals. So let's move to the next slide. So organizations are becoming large and require effective communication between superiors and subordinate members. Communication is essential for success and growth, and communication gaps should not occur in any organization. So organizations are becoming large and require effective communication. In the word between superiors and subordinates, so subordinates from the lower rank, or let's say it's lower rank or lower in a position of organization. Business communication is goal oriented and regulated by rules and norms. It has evolved over time to include more than just paperwork, telephone calls such as technology, cell phones, video conferencing, emails, and satellite communication. This type of communication helps to build goodwill of organization. So there are two types of business communication. Oral communication and oral communication can be formal or informal. Generally, business communication is a formal means of communication like meetings, interviews, group discussions, speeches, etc. An example of informal business communication would be that of grapevine. So, grapevine guys, kung sa Binisaya pa, mura siya libak. So, informal jud siya sa sulod sa business communication, sulod sa business community. Informal jud ang manglibak kag laing mga co-workers nimo or sa badiha. So, mao na siya ang grapevine. So, example na siya sa informal business communication. So, written communication. Written means of business and communication includes agenda, reports, manuals, and so on. So, aside ani, paminaw na ko murag sa written communication, murag mga hulog na pog example ng nakay presentation ninyo, ana. So, let's move to the next slide. The importance of communication. Managers dedicate a huge part of their time in communication, usually dedicating more than 6 hours a day. They use vast time on face-to-face or telephone communication, as well as written communication in the form of letters, reports, or memos. So, the importance of business communication, mao ni ilang main purpose is to improve organizational practices, eliminate silos, keep employees informed, and reduce errors Effective business communication is essential for the success and growth of every organization. So, ingana ka importante ang communication sulod sa business organization. Like, diha mo mag-share of thoughts o ideas ninyo. Siyempre, naga-point mo sa inyong business o kung sabay purpose sa inyong paggamaan ang business mo nang diha jud magbase jud og unsa jud kay importante ang communication sulod sa business. So that's all for the introduction. Thank you.
The importance of communication. Managers dedicate a huge part of their time in communication, usually dedicating more than 6 hours a day. They use best time on face-to-face or telephone communication, as well as written communication in the form of letters, report, or memos. So, the manager is dedicate a huge part as a communicator to their subordinates that to communicate their staff to have a good flows of their organization. So the importance of communication in an organization can be summed up as follow. Number one, communication encourage motivation by highlighting tasks and improving performance if needed. Number one, communication is essential for decision making, allowing for identification and review of alternative course of action. Number three, communication plays a vital role in changing attitude toward individuals, providing a better attitude than a less informed individual. Organizational magazine, journal meetings, and other forms of communication provide insight into this. Number four, communication is essential for socializing and staying alive as it enables individuals to interact with each other and others. Number five, communication is essential for controlling organizational members' behavior and departments, principles, and guidelines. It helps to ensure that employees obey organizational policies and communicate work dilemmas effectively. So those are the importance of communication in organization. So that is the very important when you are in one organization to make individual better works sa kanilang mga designated areas or assigned tasks. Communication process is two-way process of exchanging verbal and non-verbal message. Requiring a message to the receiver, it must be understood using similar terms as planned by the sender, and the receiver must respond with a time period. If the message is not understood, it is incomplete without a feedback from the receiver to sender. So the communication process is exchanging verbal and non-verbal message. So if the message is not fully complete, the receiver must be give feedback to the sender. And and this is the communication process. Can you see the arrow? That's the message, and source to encoding to channel to decoding, and decoding to receiver. So if that receiver is not totally understood what the message goes, they give the feedback to the source or known as send. Major component of communication process, we have context, sender or encoder, we have message and medium, and we have recipient, decoder, and the feedback. So let's discuss the context. Communication progress with context, allowing the sender to pick the message to communicate with the same context. So the context is it is allow the sender to pick the message to communicate with the same context or the same topic rather. Sender and encoder. A sender uses symbols such as word, graphics, or visual aid to express the message and generate a reaction. A training manager is responsible for training a new group of employees. The views, background, approach, skill, competences, and knowledge of the sender have a strong impact on the message. The verbal and nonverbal symbols chosen are critical in determining the message version. Message is a key thought that the sender seeks to communicate, interacting the response of the receiver. The communication process starts with choosing the message and ensuring the meets of central purpose of the message. So the message, this is the central or the center that they have a purpose of the message to communicate, or this is the way to process to enact the message that they want to give to the recipients. So next is medium. The most important details of the phrases, message, prepared receiver, fitting medium, and receiver are that the sender must select a fitting medium for passing on the message to preferred receiver in order to ensure it is effective and understood. The preference of communication medium differ based on the feature of communication, such as written medium for a small group of people and oral medium of inclusive feedback from the receiver. Recipient and decoder. This is the person it is the person for whom the message is intended, aim, target, and their levels of understanding is determined by knowledge of receiver, sensitivity to the message, and trust. So the recipient or decoder, this is the receiver. This is the receiver, and this is one of the recipient to the message that we want to share. Next is feedback, is an important part of the communication process, allowing the sender to authenticate the accurate interpretation of the message. It can be verbal or non-verbal and can be various forms such as memos, reports, and other types.
Diagonal communication. Diagonal communication is a type of communication between a manager and employees of other departments, not on an organizational chart. It is used to plan a training module where the manager interrelates with operations personnel to ask about their techniques. In other words, it involves communication between people who are not in the same chain of demand or department. For example, a manager in the marketing department may need to communicate with manager in the finance department, or a salesperson may need to communicate with a product development team. External communication. External communication is the exchange of business between a manager and external groups such as suppliers, vendors, banks, and financial institutions. It is used to increase capital by engaging the managing director and bank manager. The goal of external communication is typically to promote the organization's reputations, build relationships with stakeholders, improving brand recognition, or enhancing public perceptions. Examples of external communications channels include public relations, marketing, advertising, social media, email, phone, and face-to-face meetings. Effective external communication is essential for the success of any organization, as it helps to build and maintain trust, credibility, and loyalty among stakeholders.
Upward communication flows in the bank. Based on the picture, every department, the employee will report to the branch manager to talk about some things such as finance, technique or intervention, plan, capital, performance level of employee, and other resources. All of the employee to low level until to the high level or the branch manager will follow a designated communication, and is this upward communication flow in the branch. Lateral horizontal communication.
communication that happen at equivalent level of hierarchy in an organization is called lateral communication, such as communication between manager at same level or between any horizontally comparable organization member. That advantage of horizontal communication are as follow. It is time saving. It is facilities synchronization of the task. It facilitates collaboration among team members. It offers emotional and social support to the organization member. It aids in solving diverse organization trouble. It is a way of information sharing. It, it can also be employed for solving disagreement of a department with other department or disagreement within a department. Horizontal communication flow in the bank. According to the picture, it is shown that the concern of some level department will utilize inside the high-owned department. They will settle plan, provide and create plans for better performance. Hence, in terms of serious concern, they need the presence of the branch manager to help them out.
The 7 C's of effective communication. The first one is completeness. A complete message na imong gi-desire na result without additional information. And the second one is conciseness. For example, makicommunicate ka or sa imong audience, need nimo og complete information about sa imong topic or idea. And the third one is consideration. It means to consider the other person and murag ibutang pud gud nimo sila sa imong place. In other words, talk to someone in a way na kung unsa pud ka gusto istoryahon. And number 4 is clarity. For example, as a sender sa message, kailangan nimo i-deliver na message is kanang specific goals, dili na magdaghan og storya. And number 5 is concreteness. For example, imong i-deliver na message naka-specific or naka-definite and facts lang gyud dapat. And number 6 is courtesy. It's all about using good manners jud na kung mag-deliver kag mga words sa imong audience, dapat maging polite jud. And number 7 is correctness. While communicating, dapat careful jud ta sa paggamit og grammar. And that's all. Thank you.
Communication barriers. Communication is a process of understanding the message sent by a sender and passing it through a communication channel. Disruption is an organization face cyber problems, so manager must take steps to get rid of them. So when you say communication barrier, this is the process of understanding the message by a sender. So this is the interruption or disruption is an organization face cyber problem. This is a barrier that the organization face a problem. So the action that we must take of this problem is that the manager must take step to get rid of them, to be able to set free or correct. Next is perceptual and language differences. Perception is the how individuals interpret the world around them, with all generally wanting to receive message that are significant to them. However, any message that is against their values is not accepted. This can lead to linguistic differences, as same word may suggest different meanings to different individual. Number 2, information overload. Manager must be surrounded with a pool of information to ensure effective communication and avoid misinterpretation, forgotten, or overlooked. Number 3, inattention. The most important details in this text are the repetitive message should be ignored for effective communication, as they can lead to frustration for a superior if they are not paying attention to the sign in the city. This can be especially true when a superior is immersed in a paperwork and their subordinate gives detail of their problem, leading the frustration. Number 4, time pressure. Effective communication requires ample time to ensure that targets are met within a specified time frame, avoiding unfavorable consequences. To ensure effective communication, formal channel of communication must be reduced and messages are often incompletely given. Number 5, distraction or noise. Communication is affected by physical distractions such as poor lighting, uncomfortable seating, and in sanitary room as well as loudspeaker. So, distraction and noises, this is the distraction that affected when you are communicating to someone. So like for example, she or her she or he does not comfortable by this setting and in sanitary room. So that's the meaning of that. So number 6, emotional state at a particular point of time also influences communication. If the receiver senses that communicator is foaming, he construes that the information being signaled is very bad, while the text it is a different way of the communicator is cheerful and jovial. Number 7, complicity in organized structure. More number of managerial levels means more chances of communication getting destroyed. Only the people at the top level can observe the overall picture, while the people at the low level just have knowledge about their own area. Number 8, for retentions. Human memory cannot function beyond a limit. One can always retain what is being told, especially if he is not paying attention or not attentive. This leads to communication breakdowns.
Overcoming communication barriers. Eliminating differences and perception. The organization should ensure that it is recruiting the right individuals on the job and provide proper training and induction programs for employees. The interviewer should also ensure that the interviewee has command over the written and spoken language and that the company's policies are clear to all employees. Number 2 of overcoming communication barriers. Use of simple language. Use of simple and clear words should be emphasized. Use of ambiguous words and jargon should be avoided. Number 3. Reduction and elimination of noise levels. Noise is the main communication barrier which must be overcome on priority basis. It is essential to identify the source of noise and then eliminate that source. Number 4. Active listening. There is a difference between listening and hearing. Active listening means hearing with proper understanding of the message that is heard. By asking questions, the speaker can ensure whether his message is understood or not. Number 5. Emotional state. During communication, one should make effective use of body language. He must not display his emotions while communication, as the receiver might misunderstand the message being delivered. Number 6. Simple organizational structure should not be complex. The number of hierarchical levels should be optimum. There should be an ideal span of control within the organization. Number 7. Avoid information overload. The managers ought to know how to prioritize their work. They should not overload themselves. They should spend quality time with their subordinates and must listen to their problems and feedbacks. Number 8. Give constructive feedback. Avoid giving negative feedback. Contents of the feedback might be negative, but it should be delivered constructively. Constructive feedback will lead to effective communication between the superior and subordinate. Number 9. Proper media choice. The manager must properly choose the medium of communication. Simple messages, should be delivered orally, like face-to-face interaction or meetings. Number 10. Flexibility in meetings to targets. For effective communication in an organization, the managers must guarantee that the individuals are meeting their targets on time without missing the informal channels of communication. So that's all. Thank you.